Masechet Baba Batra, Daf Kof Chaf He. The discussion today is about someone who is owed money and then he dies, so now the loan will be paid to his heirs. The question is, does the firstborn get a double portion from that payment or not? We saw yesterday the opinion of Shemuel that says, no, a firstborn does not get a double payment from these accounts receivables when the creditor pays into the estate. This is new money coming in, and the firstborn only receives double portion of what the father had in his possession when he died. Therefore, no, the firstborn does not get anything, not of the capital, not of the interest. But then we ended off with this statement that Amemar came, he was born in Nehar De'ah, and he gave a lecture, and he said that a firstborn does get double in the payment of a loan. After the father dies, when the creditor pays, then the firstborn gets double of the capital, although not of the interest. So we're going to focus on the capital today, forget about the interest. And then he said back, Nehar De'eh l'ta'amayhu. In fact, Ravina said, the rabbis from Nehar De'ah are consistent. Amemar is from Nehar De'ah, and now we're going to quote Rav Nachman, who is also from Nehar De'ah, that agrees with this opinion. We're also going to see the opinion of Rabbah. De'amar Rabbah, Gabu karka yeshlo, Gabu ma'ot en lo. Rav Nachman amar, Gabu ma'ot yeshlo, Gabu karka en lo. So both Rabbah and Rav Nachman agree that in some cases of a loan being paid, the firstborn will get double. But it depends how the payment is made. According to Rabbah, if that creditor pays with land, then the firstborn gets double. Why? Because he would argue that the father, before he died, had a lien on this piece of land. Let's assume it was a loan that was written down, so there's a lien on that land. And so it's as if it was already his, even though he didn't collect it yet, but he has a lien on it. So that's like possession. And therefore, when the father dies, so now the firstborn does deserve double. However, if the creditor paid with cash, well then, that cash was not in the hands of the father. You cannot consider it a lien. There's no lien on cash, and therefore this is new money coming in, and the firstborn will not get double. That is Rabbah's opinion. Rav Nachman, however, said the opposite. If the creditor pays with cash, then it makes sense that the firstborn does get double, because it's like the same cash. Now, even though obviously it's not the same exact coins, because when you lend someone money, we assume that they're going to spend it, and then he's going to pay back with other coins. Nevertheless, since it's the same type of thing, coins and coins, so we consider this as if it's the same money, since he paid back also with cash. So we say this was money that was owed to the father. This is a replacement for the money that the father gave to that creditor in the first place. And so it's as if it was in the father's possession, and the firstborn can inherit. On the other hand, when he pays with a different type of thing, meaning with land, so then, no, the father gave the guy money, and now he never got money back, he got land. The land is a separate thing altogether. That's a new thing coming in. And therefore, the firstborn does not get double if he pays with land. All right, that's the two opinions. And what you see here is Rav Nachman, who is also from Nehar De'ah, agrees with Amemar, at least in the case where he pays with cash, which is seems to be a typical case I was talking about, that when someone pays back with cash, usually you pay back with cash. If you have the money, you don't really want your land to be taken away if you can avoid that. And so you see Rav Nachman in that case, and in fact Rabbah also in the case of land, if he pays back with land. So they agree with the statement of Amemar that the firstborn does get double in the payment of the loan in one case or the other. Amar le Abaye le Rabbah. That was a statement of Rabbah, and now Abaye challenges Rabbah. Rabbah seems to also have been quoting Rav Nachman, and he says, "Le didach kashya, le Rav Nachman kashya." I have a question both on your opinion and on Rav Nachman's opinion. So we're going to have two questions. Each of these questions is going to have two parts. Le didach kashya. According to you, Rabbah, I have a challenge. Ma'ishena ma'ot dela. You said that if the creditor pays with cash, so then the firstborn does not get double, because there's a lien only on land. There was no lien on cash. This is new money coming in. That's what you said. Delav hane ma'ot shebak abuhon karkaname lav ha karka shebak abuhon. Your reasoning is that this is not the same money that the father lent to that creditor. He's paying back with different money. So this is a different thing altogether. Well, my challenge to you is this land is also a different thing altogether. He didn't give him land, and although he had a lien on it, but the creditor could have paid with different land, or could have paid with money, could have paid with anything. And so therefore, just like you consider paying cash as it's new cash is different than what he was given, so you can't call it a replacement. Same thing with land, you should call it a new thing, not an equivalent to what the father already had and gave him, and not as a replacement. And therefore, I don't see your distinction between money and land. If you think that paying with cash, the firstborn does not get double, then that should be true also if he gets paid with land. That's question number one against Rabbah. Ve'od. Ha'atu de'amart mistaber ta'amad ibne ma'araba di kadim sabta v'zabena zebina. And you are the one who said that you agree with the reasoning of the rabbis from Eretz Yisrael, from the west, now we're talking about the following case. The case is going to be quoted in full in just a few minutes, but we'll say what the case is now. You have a person who he's going to die soon, and he was making arrangements for his will. This guy has a grandmother who is alive. He also has a married daughter who's alive. And here are his instructions. He says, when I die, I want my estate to go to my grandmother first. And then when she dies, he assumes that the grandmother probably will die first, then I want it to go to my heirs. Now, he doesn't have any sons. He has a daughter. So he's assuming that it will go to his daughter. So then that guy dies, and the inheritance goes to the grandmother, as planned. However, now the daughter dies first. The husband is still, that daughter's husband is still alive. And then the grandmother dies. Now, when the grandmother dies, the question is, will it go to that husband? So the husband is claiming, yes, I deserve it because I inherit my wife. And you said, his father-in-law said, when grandma dies, then it should go to my heirs. It would have gone to your daughter, but your daughter is dead. So now I get it. So I'm in succession. So I would have gotten it if the daughter was alive. Therefore, I should get it also. That's one reasoning. However, the rabbis from the West, as we're going to see in a few minutes, say, no, he doesn't get it because a husband only inherits that which is there, which is in the wife's hands at the time that she dies. And here, it did not yet come into her hands. And in fact, the rabbis from the West add, this is the words now here, that let's say the grandmother, while she was alive, she decided to sell this land. She had a right? She inherited the land fully, it's hers, and she could have sold it, and then there would have been no land. And then when that grandmother died, then that's it. That land would not be available to inherit anyway. And therefore, since the grandmother could have done something to dispossess herself of the inheritance, therefore you cannot say that it's as if the great-granddaughter of that grandmother already has it. It's not like you could say that the father really inherited to get and bequeathed it to his daughter. It just is going to make a stop along the way that the grandmother will hold on to it for a while. But really, it's as if the daughter already has it. See, if you say that, as if the daughter already has it, then the husband has a good claim. Say, it's as if my wife already had it. It just happened to be. It was in the hands of the grandmother. Temporarily, I should get it. But you cannot say that. Rabbah says, quoting the sages from Eretz Yisrael, because the grandmother could have gotten rid of it, could have sold it, and then the great-granddaughter wouldn't have gotten anything. So you can't say that it's as if she already has it. So that's what Rabbah thinks. If we apply the same logic here, then we have the father lent money to some creditor. That creditor has land and there's a lien on the land. It's true. But that creditor, he could have sold that land, he could have paid with other land, and so you cannot say it's as if the father already has that land because he has a lien on that land, because just like the grandmother could have sold it and got rid of it and then it would not have been inherited, so too that creditor could have sold that land and he has other land and other possessions. And the father would not have gotten that piece of land. And therefore you cannot say it's as if this father who died, that his sons already possess it, even when the father, at the point that the father died. It's not true, because as long as the one who has the land can sell it and get rid of it, and then you wouldn't have gotten it, so you cannot say it's as if the inheritors already have it. And therefore, that's the second challenge to Rabbah. How could you say that if the creditors pay with land, then the firstborn gets double? Because Rabbah would say it's as if it was already in the hands of the father since he has a lien on it. That's not true, because the same logic there, if the person could get rid of it, then it's not considered as if it would be inherited. So to here, since the creditor could have gotten rid of that land and the father would never have gotten it, so too you cannot assume that, you can't say it's as if the father already has it in his hands. That's the two questions against Rabbah. And now Abaye continues his challenge. Rav Nachman Kashia, Mai shena karka dela, delav ha karka shebak abuhon. According to Rav Nachman, he said the opposite, that if the creditor pays with land, the firstborn does not get double. Why? Why did you say that? Because this land was not left to them by the father, right? The father, when he died, he had whatever land and money he had, but he was not in possession of that particular piece of land. That land belonged to the creditor at the time that the father dies. That's why, Rav Nachman, you say this is new things coming in, and the firstborn doesn't get double. Well, in that case, ma'ot nameh, lav hane ma'ot shebak avuhan. The same logic would be true of cash. If the creditor pays in cash, this is not the same cash that the father gave to the creditor. This is new cash. The father didn't leave them this money. This is when the father died. He didn't have this money at all. This is new things coming in, and you can't say it's as if the father had it. So just like you don't say it's as if the father had land that was paid, used to be paid, so too you can't say it's as if the father had money to be paid. And so therefore, Rav Nachman, why do you say that if someone pays with cash, then the firstborn does get double? I don't see the logic. I don't see the distinction. Ve'od. And now a second question against Rav Nachman. Ha'amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba bar Abu, Yetomim shegabu karka bechobat avihen, Baal chov chozer vegove mehen. Rav Nachman said, in the name of Rabba, the son of Abu, that if orphans collect land because their father was owed money. Now this father, their father who died, someone owed him money, and the father also owed someone else money. He's both a creditor and a debtor. Good. So now the father dies, someone pays up their loan with land. In such a case, the person that was owed money by the father can come and take that very land. What do you see from there? You see that creditor of the father, he can't just come and take new things that come in. He can only take land that belonged to the father when he died, that would have a lien on it. But something new that's coming in, that creditor would not be able to take. From the fact that Rav Nachman himself said that the creditor can take that land that they just received from a different debtor, that shows that that land that had a lien on it is considered part of the father's property. And therefore, when the father died, even though it wasn't in his physical possession, since he had a lien on it, it's like it's his. Then he dies, and then those debtors pay with that land. So it continues to be as if it was already his, since it was as if it was already in the possession of the father and now in the inheritance. Therefore, the father's creditor can come and take that land. What you see here is that according to Rav Nachman, land that has a lien on it is as if it's already in possession, in ownership of the person who has the lien on it, and therefore, when the father died, we should say that the land is as if it was already his, and therefore it should be that the firstborn should get double portion of the land if the if the debt is paid with land, and that goes against the Rav Nachman, who said that the firstborn only gets a double portion if it's paid with cash, but not with land. No, it doesn't make sense. It should be that there is a lien. If there is a lien on the land, then it's already in the possession, and the firstborn should get double from land. All right, those were all the two questions, and now Rabba has a simple answer. Amar le, la ledidi kashya ve'la leRav Nachman kashya. There is no challenge against me, nor is there a challenge against Rav Nachman. Tamad ibnei ma'arava kamrinan velan la sebira lan. Rabbah explains that we, both me, Rabbah, and Rav Nachman, were only giving explanations for the opinion of the sages from the West, of the sages from Israel. They're the ones that said that when someone dies and then a loan is paid back to the heirs, the firstborn does get double. That's what the rabbis in the West said. And so Rabbah and Rav Nachman are explaining that when the rabbis in the West said that, it applies to when it's paid with land. No, it applies to when it's paid with cash. They were giving their explanations of when the case applies that the firstborn gets double according to those sages. But Rabbah and Rav Nachman themselves do not follow that opinion. Rabbah, because he says here, no, I could agree with Shemuel that nobody gets a double portion at all. Yeah, you're right. There's no lien on it, and just like since like the grandmother could sell it, and so too that creditor could sell it if they want, and therefore it's not considered a lien. And this is new money coming in and new land coming in, and the firstborn doesn't get a double portion at all. Rabbah says that's what I personally think. So I don't have a problem with your contradiction. I don't have a problem with your challenge from something else I said that I agreed with the rabbis from the West about the grandmother case. There's no problem there. Okay, good. So now that we solved that problem, now we're going to go back. My Savta, what is the grandmother case? What is this great grandmother case that we mentioned and we assumed we knew already? We just explained it quickly, but now we'll see it inside. Tahu damar lehu. There was someone who was on his deathbed, and he said to the people around him, listen, nichsai l'sabta ubatra liyartai. I want my property to go to my grandmother, and when she dies, I want it to go to my heirs, whoever is alive of my heirs. He happens to have only a married daughter. Havia le berata dehava nasiba shechiba b'chaye ba'ala u'b'chaye sabta. He had a married daughter, but that married daughter died in the lifetime of her husband and also in the lifetime of that guy's grandmother. After the grandmother died, now the husband says, listen, that grandmother, remember the instructions? When she died, it was supposed to go to her heirs. It should have gone to my wife. Oh, my wife is dead. I inherit my wife, and therefore I should get it. And he's considering it as if the wife already is in possession of it, because a husband generally only inherits that which the wife is in possession of. And so that's his claim. Amar Rav Huna liyartai v'afilu liyarte yartai. Rav Huna says the husband gets it, because he explains that when the father said on his deathbed that afterwards it goes to my heirs. Heirs mean not only my direct heirs, but even the heirs of my heirs. And that is the husband is an heir of the wife, who is an heir of the father of her father. So yes, the husband gets it. Rav Anan amar liyartai ve'la yartai. Rav Anan says, sorry husband, you don't get it, because when the father said it should go to my heirs, it means to my direct heirs. It would have gone to his daughter had she been alive, but now that she's dead, yartai does not mean the heirs of the heirs, and therefore the husband does not get it. Shelachu mitam. Here's where the rabbis of Israel come in. They sent a message from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, and they said, Hilchata kevatet Rav Anan v'la mitameh. We agree with Rav Nachman's conclusion that the husband does not get it, but not for the reason that yartai means only direct heirs and not 2 steps removed. We have a different reason. We agree the halacha is like Rav Anan, that the husband does not inherit. But for a different reason. According to Rav Anan, since it means direct heirs and not 2 steps removed, let's say that daughter had a son, and the son was still alive. She had a son and also a husband. According to Rav Anan, even that son would not inherit, because yartai means my direct heirs 1 step and not 2 steps, which means the deceased's grandson would not get it, according to Rav Anan. But we don't agree with that. We think that if there was a grandson, then surely that grandson would inherit, because a grandson always inherits whatever the mother had, who always inherits whatever the father had. That's next in line. Whether it was something that was there when the person died, or something that comes into the estate after, these are direct descendants and direct heirs that would get all of that. Now the husband is different. He does not inherit, because this is only potential money that's coming in. It belongs to the grandmother, and it's totally hers, because she could sell it. And so now, when she dies, and already the granddaughter, great granddaughter, is already dead, so the husband cannot take it, because this is only something potential that she could have gotten, and not something that she possessed. That's our reason. So therefore, the husband doesn't get it. If she had a son, if that daughter had a son, then the son would get it, because a son inherits not only that which is in possession, but even that which potentially would come in into the estate afterwards. Now, what do we do with Rav Huna, who disagreed? And he said, yes, it goes even to the husband. Does he think that a husband can collect from that which is potentially coming in, even though when his wife died, this was not yet in possession. The grandmother was still alive. And so he should only get what the wife had, whatever. She had some jewelry, she had a house, so that goes to the husband. But now, according to Rav Huna, does that mean that according to Rav Huna, when the grandmother dies, he gets it because a husband even inherits that which is not yet possessed, but only potentially coming in? Is that what Rav Huna thinks? Amar Rabbi Elazar, davar zeh niftach begedolim v'nistayem beketanim. Kol hamer acharecha kamer ma'arshav dameh. Rabbi Elazar says this matter, although the beginning of it, the beginning of discussion was with great sages. Rav Huna started the discussion off, but it's going to end with smaller sages, meaning myself. I'm very humble, and who am I to give an explanation for Rav Huna? But he's not around, so I'm going to give an explanation for what this great sage said. And the explanation is, anytime someone says, you get it after, it's as if he's saying you get it from now. In other words, when the guy on his deathbed said, it's going to go to grandma, and then it's going to go to my heirs, so that's my daughter. So since he's giving a line of succession, what right does he have to say, oh, after my grandmother dies, I want it to go there? How can he do that? He's giving it totally to the grandmother, right? So then it'll just go to whatever the grandmother wants, or whoever her successors are. Maybe she has more direct successors. How could he do that? It means that really, the guy in his deathbed is actually giving it to his daughter. He's saying, listen, on the way, while my grandmother's alive, I wanted to be able to enjoy this house, this farm, whatever it is, and then really it's going to my daughter from now, just temporarily, while she's alive, she can have access to it. So since it's as if he's already giving it to his daughter from now, therefore it's considered muhzak. So in fact, not Rav Huna, nobody thinks that a husband can take even ra'ui from the wife. No, it's not true. This is considered muhzak because the husband or the father already designated his daughter to be the next in line, meaning to be really the heir from now. Amar Rabba mistabera tamad ibn ma'arava di kadim sabta v'zabena zibina zibine. And here's the statement that we made reference to earlier. Rabba says, I think that the message that we got from the West makes sense, that the husband will not get it because this is considered ra'ui. This is new money coming in because the daughter would not necessarily have gotten it. After all, if the grandmother wanted to sell it, she could have sold it and then it would have been gone and never gotten inherited. So you can't say, oh, she's just a temporary resting spot, but really the father gave it to the daughter. No, once he gives it to the grandmother, it totally belongs to the grandmother to do whatever she wants with. And therefore you cannot say that it's as if the daughter already possesses it. And that's why I agree that the husband does not inherit this land. Rav Papa's final verdict is that a husband does not take potential money that's coming in when his wife dies. Only what his wife currently has when she dies, that's what a husband can inherit. And the firstborn does not get a double portion of that which is potentially coming into the estate, only what the father actually has at the time that he dies. That's what the firstborn gets, a double portion. And the firstborn also does not get a double portion of a payment of a loan that's paid after the father dies. And it doesn't matter whether it's paid with land or whether it's paid with money. This would be lahalacha, like Shemuel and also like Rabbah. And now we end off just an interesting case that, let's say the firstborn borrowed money from the father. Okay, so now the firstborn has some money, he has $100 that he borrowed from his father, and then the father dies. Now the firstborn has to pay the estate back because he has to pay, the other brothers deserve part of that money, but he also does have it in his possession. So do you call this that it's in the father's possession when he dies, said the firstborn gets double because it's, after all, it is in the possession of the son who is inheriting? Or do you say, no, this is money coming in because the father didn't have it when he died, and so now it's considered new money coming in, and all the brothers should share it equally? It's a good question, and it's in doubt. Therefore, we say we divide it, and the firstborn, he will have to pay back. Let's say he pays back all the $100, but then he inherits a double, not a double portion. He'll get one part plus a half of another portion. He'll get 1.5 portions because it's not clear if he's already considered in possession of it. So then he deserves a double portion, but technically the father was not paid. It was not the father's money. So in that sense, it was not in possession. And so he'll get 1.5 parts of the payment that he repays to the estate. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.